my band. It's not really my band. It's her husband did that.
Your son-in-law did this?
My son-in-law did the music.
That's right. It's very
He did it.
industrial.
Yes, this is my daughter, Jackie. He's very industrial, Alex.
Because he does music.
This is Howie Mandel does stuff. I'm Howie Mandel.
I'm Jacqueline Schultz, your daughter.
And the other voice is...
I'm Jim Jefferies.
You're good at that.
Yeah, I can introduce myself.
You're amazing.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, look, over the years I've picked up a few skills, yeah.
You are hysterical.
Oh, thanks.
I think you're the first guest that's ever introduced themselves.
Oh.
In the history of any show?
I thought he was about to forget, so I thought I better
Who you
help
were?
him out. Yeah, I thought I better help you out. So.
Do I have a look on my face like, what the fuck is going on?
Who is this?
Not constantly, but you have it occasionally, a few times I met you.
One of the things, Jim Jefferies, besides being really funny and a great stand-up, you get away with saying cunt more than anybody I know.
I do. I brought cunt to America, I believe.
You brought cunt to
You
America.
did.
Yeah, I think
Columbus found the actual country, and then you did the cunt, just a cunt without the tree.
I feel like I freed everyone up. When I first got here, that was the one rule. 15 years ago, that was the rule. You can say what you want, don't say cunt. That was the big thing.
Who said that to you?
Every comedy club I went to, that was.
But that was hello, Jim. Don't say cunt.
It was further on in the conversation. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but they would say don't say cunt, and then I'd go on and say it, and then they'd no problem because of the accent. And
you think it's the accent?
I do believe it's the accent, yeah, because you can say it in Australia, you can say it even more in the UK than you can in Australia. So all the comics in the UK, when I started out there, were all saying it. I'll tell you my best cunt story.
Wait, let's lead into. So this is the best cunt story you have.
Well, it's not the funniest, but it's the most apt, I think. Okay, so I did an HBO special maybe 13 years ago. And when I did the HBO special, they sort of picked out of all my material the material they wanted me to do, etc. Like, it was my first American special. And HBO said to me, they said, the one thing about Americans, they don't like the C word, and we want to have retention. They're big on people still watching after 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your ratings are, they're still watching. So I had no cunt for the first 15 minutes.
No cunt for 15 minutes.
No cunt for 15 minutes.
Is that tough for you?
It was okay. I practiced, right? But there was a cunt light at the back of the room.
A what?
A cunt light. It didn't say the word cunt in big letters, but it flashed when I was allowed to start saying it when 15 minutes hit.
You got a cunt light?
HBO got me a cunt light to flash on, like, you can say it now. And I think
And there is somebody on that was hired by HBO.
Yes, for 15 minutes to light
looking at their watch,
Yeah.
going, and they're the Jim Jefferies cunt timer.
Yes. Yeah, because normally us comics, we have a light to say we have 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, 2 minutes left, whatever we request. I had a 15-minute light to say that I was about to say it. And I think the first one I dropped on American TV was Aren't Pandas a Bunch of Cunts? And so
What? Say that again?
Aren't pandas a bunch of cunts? And I did a routine on pandas. Yeah.
I love how you were able to blend like pandas, these soft, fuzzy, cuddly things, with cunts.
This is what I think about the word, right? It's in other cultures, because here in America it seems to have, it's directed at women, and it's a nastier type of term, where in Britain, and especially somewhere like Ireland, it can be said affectionately, you know.
Affectionately?
Yeah, you go, he's a little cunt, that one. Look at this little cunt over here.
For your children and stuff?
Yeah, I call my son that all the time.
Your son you call a cunt?
Yeah, but in a nice way. It's like, just affectionately. And
Do you call your wife a cunt?
my wife's British, so yeah, we can say that to each other.
And she says like she melts when you
no,
call
she
her a
doesn't
cunt?
melt when we do it, but we're allowed to say it. It's all right. But you can say the word cunt with affection. You go, my mate, he's a good cunt, that fella. This guy's a good cunt. I like that cunt, right? You can
I
say
like that cunt.
Yeah, I like
We
that
can
cunt.
say that in America too, but not.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have a cunt timer
Yeah.
on this podcast.
It's already it went off.
Off the charts.
My argument is it's less offensive than the word bitch. The word bitch can never be said kindly. And you guys say that word a lot. I don't say that word very much at all. Americans say the word bitch quite often.
You think a bitch is worse than a cunt?
I can go, that cunt's all right. You got to meet this cunt. He's a good cunt, right?
Yeah.
But I can never go, got to meet this bitch. She's a good bitch.
You're right.
Why not? Yeah, you can.
No.
It sounds
No, that's
No.
mean.
mean.
No.
It's
No, I beg to differ.
Maybe
I
with
think-
your accent. I can't say motherfucker. I sound stupid when I say it. I can't say it. So
But you can just say cunt and it's acceptable with your accent.
Yeah, I don't know.
Should we just make phone calls and call people? And if a female answers, let's see if you can get away with calling her a cunt.
I think I'd be all right.
Really? You think you could?
I'm pretty confident.
Call
Let's
mom.
call- well, I'm
call
gonna-
mom. Call
I'm
mom.
gonna call.
Oh, we're not calling that cunt, are we?
I'm gonna call my wife.
What? But how do I work it into it? We gotta get me some type of script. I can't.
Why?
No.
I can't just.
I gave
go,
you a script. I gave you one word.
Hello, Mrs. Mandel. You cunt. I can't do that. That's too hard.
Well, you're the expert. I don't
Jeez,
use the
like,
word.
I've called myself out here. I said I can do it. Now I'm not so sure.
Well, let's see.
Oh well.
Hello.
Hello.
What's mom? What's mom?
Hi, how you doing, you cunt? It's Jim Jefferies here.
Oh, hi. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you. I think that proved our point. I think we did.
Did you not hear what he said?
No. What? He said, hi, it's Jim Jefferies here.
Yeah, see, so they don't even hear it.
He referred to you.
What did he call me? A cunt?
Yes!
Yeah, well, you know what? If the shoe fits.
Wow. That's how big she is. You couldn't have put an entire shoe in there.
I love you. I think you're so talented and funny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're a great cunt. I really appreciate that.
Bye. Bye, my little cunt. See you.
Bye.
Bye, cunt.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Your mother is such a cunt.
She's fun lady, man.
She's a fun cunt.
I tell you what, I didn't think I'd get away with it, but I think that proved my point.
You did. You did prove a
Yeah.
point. Should we call other people? Let's call a church.
No.
Let's call a church.
Well, you have them on speed dial? You know the number off the top of your head? Just to call
No,
it
but
church?
I think it's under C.
Want to call my mother-in-law?
No,
Would you do that?
Gee, that's bold. That's bold to call your mother. Are you close to your mother-in-law?
I am close. Maybe not after
Are
a
you
phone
close
call.
to your mother-in-law?
Okay, so my mother-in-law, very nice lady. My mother-in-law's, okay, so my wife's 13 years younger than me, and my mother-in-law's 13 years older than me, so I could have gone either way. And
Wow. You're in the center of two
yeah,
cunts.
I'm in the center, yeah. And so we have a little baby, me and the wife, not the mother-in-law. And we have a baby, and I'm about to go to Australia for a month, and so I'm going to take my other son and my new son, and so I said I was on the phone. My mother-in-law was visiting the baby. She was out here in America, and I said to my manager in Australia, I said, "Oh, we'll get us a nanny for the tour, so that we can, go to the shows and have the baby sleep or whatever." And my mother-in-law was listening, and she went, "No, you don't need to do that. I'll save you some money. I'll be the nanny on the tour." So I'm taking my mother-in-law to Australia with me to be the nanny, which is fine. I get along with her very well. I like her very much. But I can't really order her around. You know what I mean?
Right. But the fact is, this would be nice. It would have been nice family time with just you, the wife, the kid, and a nanny. But then she weaseled herself onto the tour. What a cunt.
What I can't. No, but it's like I can't wake up in the morning and go, "Becca, you take him to the park, please." I can't just do that. So I got to be a little bit more sympathetic, I think. But
So you're playing Australia.
yeah.
So I know, is this the makeup tour? Because you were about as COVID broke out.
I did, yeah. I had a tour that planned in Australia.
A big one, a monster tour.
A monster tour, yeah, but yeah, like 50,000, 60,000 tickets or something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And we went in quarantine for 2 weeks. I think I told you this. I was meant to be a judge on Australia's Got Talent, and they cancel. They didn't cancel me. They just said, "Oh, it's all happening. We're booking this time. It's going to happen." Blah 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 blah. So I booked this time out in Australia, and then they just started ghosting me, and I didn't hear from them anymore. Right.
Right.
And so I went, "Oh, fuck it. I've planned this time in Australia. I'll just go out to Australia and I'll do a tour." Right. So I went into quarantine with my wife. My wife was about 6-7 months pregnant at the time, and we're sitting in quarantine. And the TV goes like this: "Come out for the auditions of Australia's Got Talent with our new judge." And I was like, "Who the fuck did they pick like this?" And then they go, "Neil Patrick Harris." And I was like, "Fair enough. That's a big get for Australian TV. I completely understand what happened there. No hard feelings. Fine, right?" Anyway, so we get out of quarantine, and Australia gets literally 10 cases of COVID. They hadn't had COVID for 11 months. That's the reason we were
They
going.
had the most strict rules, didn't they?
Well, they did. There's a little bit of a fallacy there about people getting arrested in the street. I was there for some of it. It was.
That's where Tom Hanks got it.
Tom Hanks had it to begin with. Yeah, Australia gave it to Tom Hanks. so they locked down the whole country, and
There you go again with that word.
Yeah. They locked down the whole country. So me and the wife, we pack up and we go home, and I was all fucking angry about the tour being cancelled. And there's only 6 people in business class, and it's me, my wife, Neil Patrick Harris, his husband, and his 2 kids. And so they had a bit, what's that German word for taking joy out of other people's misery? You can't help when that comes over you. I had a bit of that.
That is fantastic. I think they also asked, I don't know that I'm right, but Sofia Vergara, they asked her to
possible.
do.
I think a lot of people didn't want to quarantine for 2 weeks. So,
That's exactly why she said no, I think.
Yeah. So they knew I would. And then I didn't get the job anyway.
But it's still on, and who knows? There could be.
I'm doing the tour again. The tour is going to be fantastic. I'm doing like New Zealand and Australia. I'm doing every sort of major. Well, when I say every major city in Australia, that's 5.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge. I love Australia.
It's a small country.
I'm just excited. I did that show Bullshit on Netflix, and for the first time, in Australia, the show has cracked the top 10. So maybe I can play a club there at one point.
Well, this is the thing. I was talking to our friend Jay Leno, right?
Right.
I was talking to Jay Leno, and I'll do a very bad impersonation. I don't do impersonation, but he said, I'd like to go out to Australia once. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I said, yes.
Exactly. For people who are listening and not watching this,
in the room.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, you have a great time. It's a fun country. There's lots of things to do there. And he goes, I'm just not sure if I'd sell many tickets. And I was like, you can just go. Like, you can just go to Australia. The idea that you've just gone, like, you've got money, right? You can just
we've been there. I've been there.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because
We've
you were
been
going.
there. I've been there with
Yeah,
you.
I took the whole family. I love Australia.
Did you enjoy Australia?
The only thing I didn't like was the plane trip there. That's like the longest plane ride I've ever been on.
It's not too bad. It's 14 hours. It's not too bad.
How do you preface it's 14 hours with it's not too bad?
Well, you leave at midnight, you sleep for 8 hours, or you watch a couple of movies, you have a meal, you're there. The one coming back's worse because you leave at 6 a.m, so you're awake the entire time. But the one out there is kind of fine. I don't. Look, I used to go Sydney. I worked in London for 10 years. I used to go Sydney to London. That's 24 hours.
You have to realize that when you're my daughter, the strife that you have to go through to be like Howie Mandel's daughter. I mean, she's lived through hell. She's done 14-hour flights.
Yeah. It sounds like it's bad. Were you on a flatbed?
I'm
Was
scared
that hard
of flying.
for you?
I have a fear of flying, so it's bad for me.
Bad for me.
Bad
That's
for
what it's
me.
about. Bad for me. That's what she can say. We're gonna have a
But I
telethon.
loved Australia, and it was worth it.
They've just brought out now. They're just bringing out. They've just announced it like this week. Sydney to New York, which is going to be the longest flight on Earth, like with no stops.
I'm hoping that they build a Concorde again, and then that would be good to Australia. Do you remember the Concorde?
I remember the Concorde. I never got to fly on the Concorde.
I got to fly in the Concorde.
Wasn't that dangerous?
At the end,
Yeah.
when they decided to not make them anymore, they started dropping.
Just for landing.
Yes. But they would go faster than the speed of sound. I remember the first time I played the UK and I had flown on the Concorde, which was faster than the speed of sound. I said, I watched a movie on board, but I didn't hear it till an hour after I landed. Get it?
No.
Okay. The plane.
Now I get it. I get it.
I know.
Faster
Fast
than
and
speed
speed
of
of sound.
sound.
Like
I
my
get it.
joke. You see,
Yeah.
there was a delay.
Yeah, I get it.
See what's
now.
I
happening?
hope to do a podcast one day with my son. I think this is nice. This is.
How old? You have 2 kids, right?
I have a 9-year-old boy and a 9-month-old boy. So yeah, it's going to be a few years before I get to.
No,
do
you
that.
could do one with the 9-year-old, and I guarantee it'll be a lot of fun.
I bet you should do one with a 9-year-old. To do one with a 9-year-old would be I think that's a.
I think he'd be all right. He's a funny kid, my 9-year-old. He's a funny kid.
I bet you he is.
Yeah, he's funny.
I also.
Does he love touring with you?
He does. I'm giving him a job backstage in this Australian
Like the
tour.
mother-in-law.
Yeah. I'm giving him a job just to be like a dog's body and run around and do things for my manager and stuff so that he gets a bit of a work ethic into him.
I did
might
that
teach
with-
him how to bartend. I don't know if that's illegal or not, but serve
Bartend?
everyone. Yeah,
Wow.
well, it's just, we're only going to have a couple of spirits and a few beers. Just get that person a beer, pour them a vodka and whatever.
Oh, yeah. Roll that one a doobie.
Yeah, illegal in Australia.
Is it legal?
That was one of the things I did in quarantine because I'm sober, but I still partake with weed. And
Right.
So I without that, I find it very hard not to drink. And so when I was in quarantine, I asked somebody, a friend of mine, to bake me some weed brownies, big tray of those, and because you get food delivered and all that sort of stuff. But these were all in a Tupperware container. I'm in quarantine. They were delivered to me by a cop, and I thought, oh, fuck, I'm in trouble here. And he just was like, these are for you, Mr. Jefferies, and handed them over. The dog didn't check them or anything, so I could have.
He didn't know that you had a cop deliver
a box of weed to my room in Australia while I was quarantined.
Why is it illegal there? It seems like that's a very progressive country.
When it comes to drugs, they're not very progressive. We have legalized prostitution, so we're ahead of the game on that. Which is societally that is the best thing you can go. They have to pay taxes. They get STD checks. There's brothels. The girls are safer. All that type of stuff. They've proven that and the divorce rates drop substantially. There's no downside to it. Right?
Hookers are great.
Yeah, fantastic. And they're just on high streets. There isn't a stigma around it.
Just 1 second. I'm talking to Jeremy, who's our producer here. The title for this episode is going to be Hookers and Cunts.
Hookers and cunts, fair enough.
With Jim Jefferies.
Yeah, they go together. But weed, they're still very, let's mention another drug. So cocaine in Australia costs anywhere between $300 and $400 a gram.
Why do you know that?
Because I just know things. I'm a knowledgeable man. Okay. And over here, it's like $50 for a gram of cocaine, right? So it's like there are some drawbacks to being a large island. So all of our cocaine's brought in condoms up people's asses, you know what I mean? So it's a limited supply. But so Australia has a lot of synthetic drugs, speed and stuff like that, people that bikers can make in labs and stuff like that. I don't know how I got onto this. I'm just saying that there's no drugs that are legal. There's nothing legal.
I remember I was asking about your kid touring with you.
Yeah, so I'm going to make him just get the boot and the spoon and the lighter.
So we also, in Australia, we do, I'm part of JFL, and we have the festival is right there in Sydney. But I met you, I knew you a little bit before, but I met you at JFL in Montreal.
Yeah.
And you were tooling around Montreal with your friend. You're friends with the guy that killed Bin Laden.
Rob O'Neill. Yeah, me and Rob are buddies, yeah.
How are you friends with the guy who killed Bin Laden?
Okay, so
what's that called? What was he? Secret?
SEAL Team 6.
SEAL Team 6, yes.
I thought it was a secret. Did they come out and say who they were?
Well, he did.
I didn't even know that.
He got in trouble.
Yeah, Rob tweets about it. There's no problem.
And he wrote a book.
Yeah,
didn't he get in trouble with the...
there's a lot of... Okay, they said there's some members of the SEAL team that don't like him, but he had a couple of bodyguards that were other members of the SEAL team as well. So, I don't know about that, But Rob, I met Rob at a party. Okay, so I don't know if Rob even knows this story, but we had a mutual friend who was a photographer, and he was taking photos, and he said he was trying to make him loosen up for the shots. And he said, what bands you into? What this are you into? What comedy you into? Maybe we can listen to some comedy while we're doing the shit. And he goes, I like Jim Jefferies. And he goes, I'm friends with Jim Jefferies. And he's like, can I meet him? And so this guy rings me up and goes, the guy who shot Bin Laden wants to meet you, right?
Wait, how do you say no?
Yeah, and I went, tell him I've got a barbecue this Sunday. I didn't have a fucking barbecue, so I manufactured a party to meet this guy. Right?
Meet the guy who killed Bin Laden barbecue.
Yeah. So I manufactured, and we've been friends ever since, but I manufactured this barbecue, and I rang up a few different friends of mine to say, look, the guy who shot Bin Laden's coming.
Who do you call to bring to the Bin Laden killer?
There was the only other famous person that was there was Rhys Darby from Our Flag Means Death and Flight of the Conchords, and he played Murray on Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah. No, I love him. He's really funny.
Yeah, so I rang up Rhys and I said, the guy who shot Bin Laden's coming over, and so him and his wife came over, and a few other friends like that. And so Rob and two other SEAL team guys, so they're big blokes, sort of tattoos and all that type of stuff. And I sort of got told he's the red-headed guy out of the group. So there was one red-headed bloke, and I went up to him and I told everybody, I said, the guy who shot Bin Laden's coming. you're not meant to mention it. No one knows, but he's going to be here. But don't say anything like this, right?
Oh, it's supposed to be like undercover.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that he told people, right?
And at a barbecue where you're inviting the guy who shot bin Laden, what do? You have barbecue? You have super soakers?
Yeah, stuff like that. And so I put the son in a bulletproof vest. He was about 2 at the time. Yeah. Anyway, so I went up to him and I went, "G'day, Rob." I said, "Look, no one else at the party knows, but I've been told, and I just want to thank you for what you've done for the country, and it's just really great to meet you, mate." And he said, "What? That I shot bin Laden?" Loud enough for everyone to hear. and then it was over. The beginning of the night, it was like this. I knew that day I was going to die. And then I thought to myself, I said goodbye to my daughters, and I went to the war, and we got in the helicopter. And then later on in the night, it was just like this. It's just like shooting a deer in Butte, Montana.
Did he give you the details?
Yeah. He said, walked up, and there was one bit where he said to me, he goes, I was barbecuing, and I heard the story about 4 times that night, and I was drunk off to the side barbecuing. And one of the girls, like the women were all just sitting around just fascinated. And he goes, then I saw the whites of bin Laden's eyes, right? Yeah. And he goes, and then he said, and then one of the girls went, did you say anything? And he goes, I didn't actually, but I wanted to say Yahtzee, which is like a thing in their world where they go Yahtzee before they shoot. I don't know.
I think it's just a board game.
Yeah, I think. And I was up barbecuing up to the side. And this is one of these terrible hero stories. And then I said something funny. I was up to the side and I said, that's stupid. And he goes, oh yeah, what would have you said? I said, I would have said, where have you been, Laden? There we go. Come on. Now, I think as Rob does motivational talks and stuff like that, he says that now sometimes in some of the speeches just for a laugh.
He's stealing your material.
I gave it to him. How am I going to use it?
So that
and you're not going to argue with the guy that shot
Well,
him.
it's a great story for a podcast.
We did a thing on the Jim Jefferies show. We did a thing where I interviewed him and we went out and we shot some guns and we got out these sniper rifles with bullets, big 3-inch bullets or whatever they are, large bullets, right? I'm not a gun guy. And we lined up 2 watermelons off in the distance with these sniper rifles that can shoot like miles, And just for a finishing shot, we were both going to blow up a watermelon. I hit mine, he missed his. And
really?
Yeah, and people think that we obviously staged it that way or whatever, but nah. I hit mine, he missed his.
Are you sure he wasn't just doing that to...
He was fucking...
But he's not a sniper, is he?
He'd been one. He was doing that stuff where he was like, the bloody gauge. It's like when a golfer picks up someone else's clubs. This is the wrong shaft.
Yeah.
But bin Laden was, when he shot bin Laden, but bin Laden was like a foot and a half in front
he
of
was
him.
just in the room. He was just in the room. Just
wow. So you're a better shot than...
Well, in that one instance, I was. I assume if we did it over a bigger span
You're
sample,
like SEAL Team 3.
We went over a bigger... SEAL Team 3, the catering.
That is amazing.
Craft Services SEAL Team.
You get to, what's neat about being a comedian, we get to meet like people who cross paths with the most odd pairings of people. Like, that was funny. I mean, you've already gone through the story, but I walk up to Jim. I'm a fan of Jim's. And I walk up to him in Montreal, and he introduces me to this Rob. He's the guy who killed bin Laden. And it took...
But you did what I did. You went, thank you so much for your service. You go straight into it.
I know, I went straight into it. But it was... I'm still, even sitting here today, I was shocked that... First of all, how did you two get together? And that I asked you, but it's just a shocking pairing. Do you find that you find fans that just come out of the woodwork? What has been? Have you had another person that you've met of some?
Brad Pitt's come to a couple of shows. He's always, Eddie Vedder came to a show recently. I
love Eddie Vedder,
and that was pretty cool.
Eddie Vedder is great. I met Eddie Vedder at the Women's March in Seattle.
Right. He has long hair, doesn't he? So.
Oh, you're right. He was wearing one of those pussy hats. He was marching with his 2 daughters. But I met him there. Wow. And Brad Pitt comes?
He's a friend. Yeah, he's you know.
Look at it. Look at
Like,
it.
but yeah, look, I don't, you know.
Whatever, just Brad Pitt. No big
Just
deal.
Brad Pitt. He
No
knows
big
it.
deal. I know
Well,
everyone.
you asked me. You asked me. You said who else? It's like I can't get out of this.
But you could have said, nah, I don't really meet people. But no,
I-
you
No.
went on to name drop.
I once said, okay, I'm friends with Russell Crowe. I've been friends with him for about.
We stopped asking questions.
Nah,
Keep
yeah,
going.
Okay, Russell,
Go.
but he's a fellow.
He's an Australian, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's the best, man. He gets a bad rap sometimes. People think he's a bit insane or something. He's
Didn't
like,
he get in trouble for throwing a phone or?
Yeah. And it might have cost him the Oscar that year because A Beautiful Mind won every other Oscar. He won the Oscar the year before for Gladiator.
Right.
Then that year, he's meant to win for A Beautiful Mind. Beautiful Mind won Best Picture, Best Director, Best everything. He's the whole film.
Right.
And he didn't win Best Actor because he threw the phone.
Because he threw a phone. You don't throw
Will,
a phone.
Yeah,
You've
Will
got to go.
Smith slaps a fucking person. He wins one 5 minutes later.
Because you don't throw a phone. If you want to hit somebody, you walk right up to them and you slap them in the fucking face, and you win.
Yeah, that was fucking. As a bald person, Howie, and I've had transplants and this and that. And I take tablets every day to keep my hair in my head.
What do you take every day?
I take Propecia and all that type of stuff, and I take them for so long. If I take two, I only take them every second day because I take them every day. I stop getting erections, and I got to take a blue pill to counteract the brown pill.
Isn't that a heart? It's a heart medication.
Wait, you would
right?
rather have hair than a heart on?
I'm 45 now, and I'm like, I'm married. I'm calling it a day on the hair. The hair's going. I still get the hard-ons, but if I take too many of the pills,
But up until now, you would rather have a good head of hair than a good head?
I never had problems with it before. I've been taking those pills for about 15 years.
Well, why did you just bring that up?
Because we're just talking about the slap. You
No.
gotta keep
Why
up.
did you bring up the fact that if you take too many pills, you can't
I'm
have...
just saying how hard it is to lose your hair, even as a man. And it seems like the first time we point at a woman and go, she's bald, the whole world fucking gets into this big debate over you can't say that. Yet there's been every time I have to wear hats because I have to put powder in my hair and shit on stage, and people always comment on me losing my hair. It still fucking hurts, but I don't slap anyone. Is the point I'm trying to make?
That's good. That's good.
Well, maybe now you can.
Did that bother you?
Yeah.
I think I can.
Will Smith just opened the door, and now you can slap
I
people.
think equal opportunity.
Yes.
I'm allowed to slap someone.
Did that bother you? It
What?
bothered me watching
Oh,
it.
very much.
Very much. I mean, I as much as we were making jokes about it, that shook me to the core because,
I've been hit on stage, and
No,
there's,
you have?
Yeah, and it was quite famous at the time. But if you
Is there tape of it?
There is tape, and it does not disappoint.
it.
Okay, what is it under?
Just put Jim Jefferies punched. It's been watched millions of times.
Jim Jefferies punched. Caroline.
Yeah, this won't disappoint. If you want to make an edit point right now and bring a computer over and watch it, you'll. Enjoy
We don't need a computer. We have a
It
wall.
goes up there.
Oh God!
It's gonna be on the big screen right in front of you.
I haven't watched this in years, but this is before everyone had camera phones. This is surveillance footage, right? Of
Do you want to say anything up leading into it, or does it need a
what
setup?
I will say, I was still trying to sell my CD that I was selling. That's how long ago. This is 2006. The guy did not heckle. I did not speak to the guy. He was upset by a joke earlier on. We don't know what joke. So there was no interaction with the audience member. He just walked up and hit me.
Okay, the following content has been identified as violent.
2006, 7, I was wrong.
Here we go.
Do you want?
You got to rewind back.
What?
Just leave it. It'll happen soon enough. Bat's pushing it inwards. Or when you... Oh, hang on.
Multiple times.
Oh! A beatdown!
Why?
Oh my
Why? Why?
That's audience members who are up there. The guy in the black suit, security.
It's not ending. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Is that it?
No, I come back out and finish the gig, man.
No, you don't.
I do, yeah.
Oh my God. Did that guy get arrested? You could turn it off.
He gets arrested, and
Where
then
is this, first of all?
This is the Manchester Comedy Store in England,
Okay.
and he gets arrested, and then I watch the footage, and I remember I just gotten off I was just doing club gigs, but I was just started doing small theaters and stuff like that, and my tour was selling okay. And I looked at the footage, and I remember thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money out of this. I'm going to put this on the internet right away.
Did you make a lot of money?
Well, my tour started selling out, and my Edinburgh show did really well. And I was on the news in Britain. It was made the news. And like this is before camera phones, so there wasn't a million angles of it.
How did they record this? Is this the camera in
This is the
club?
camera that goes down to the dressing room. You know, the one when you're watching on stage, just the little one that hangs from the ceiling.
What led to that? You don't know what led to that?
The guy, I said I wouldn't press charges or whatever. The guy was a young Irish lad. He was on a date. I know that much, right?
Okay.
And allegedly the girl that he was with was not enjoying the show. It was a joke that happened earlier on, allegedly, and then once he finished his drink, he thought, I'll take care of this, and he ran on the stage, and the stage has stairs coming up to it.
Right.
And a lot of people, when they watch the footage, they go, where was the security? The security can only work if there's an interaction between you and the person where they can stop it before it happens.
Right.
This guy just, it's like, why didn't someone jump in front of the bullet in JFK? Because they didn't know it was coming,
Right.
And so he came up, and you can notice the first thing I say when he walks on is, oh, hang on, mate, you're not allowed up here. Right? That's how.
Wow, you told him. Hang on, mate. You're not allowed up here.
But that is an appropriate reaction from audience members, jumping up and helping you and being, getting him off you.
If you just fast forward a little bit, you see, I come out to
more.
I wasn't having a great gig. Yeah, go fast forward a little bit more. The MC comes back out and checks that everyone's okay.
There's the MC. Okay.
Yeah.
Here, play.
I come back out.
Hi. I was going little thumbs up. He's shaking everybody's hand.
You're a hero.
Oh, you gotta see. That's hysterical.
Yeah,
That's hysterical. Did you win? It's like you held up your hand.
Well, I was
round two.
I was having a pretty average gig. And I think the next line, I haven't seen this in years. The next
play. I want to see him start. His. He's going back to the mic. Let's see what he says. Oh, you're milking it.
I appreciate you welcoming me back. I'm not going to be doing much more material. I'm fucking spent out by that cunt completely. I got a fucking thing on the side of my head.
You had a knot on your head?
No, what many of you don't know is that I employ that bloke for when gigs are going badly.
Oh, that's great. That's hysterical.
Yeah, so
You were hurt.
I didn't charge the guy. Years later, I had his brother contact me and just go, I think it's really bad that you've been promoting this clip and all this type of stuff. I was like, it's unbelievable.
I could have sued your ass. I could have put it in. Did he go to jail? I mean, that's.
I think he spent a night in a drunk tank, and that was that. But I didn't press charges.
And the relationship with the date.
Oh, who knows? I'm sure they're married now with kids, and they have a wonderful meeting story. I often think about like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Like, were they laying in bed like, you did good, honey, or just like, that went a bit rough? I imagine they were a bit shaken up.
I think that if they were shaken up, I think that it was a way longer because they went to parties, they danced the night away.
That blew my mind out, that he's dancing to Getting Jiggy with it, holding his trophy. He must have thought that he was invincible, that nothing would happen.
I think he did. And the Sun tweeted the next morning, that's the way we roll. So I think the vibe, it caught them a lot later, the grandiosity.
I think it wasn't until they felt the backlash afterwards from a lot of people. I think he thought he did something.
Well, if they thought that people couldn't joke about them, they were in for it. Because I do a bit on it now, and I'm sure many. I talk about it now on stage, and I do.
So my question to you is, because I was going to ask you, we brought up the Will Smith thing. I was shaken to the core because I feel like comedy as an art form has been attacked for the last few years as far as cancel culture and people losing their jobs. And I've discussed with some other people that we had on here that kind of opened a door to maybe what could be violence. Watching what you just went through on stage in 2000, were you not afraid that, as you get up on stage and you don't know anybody in the audience, did you not have PTSD from?
I had a worse incident that I had PTSD from which was maybe a year before, a year afterwards. It was around this time in my life, and I was in Nottingham Jongleurs, which is a comedy chain in Britain. And I was in Nottingham, and I'd finished the gig afterwards, and I'd done some jokes about the war in Iraq or something. There was some soldier who'd come back, and I was standing talking to a friend at the bar, and this guy just grabbed me by the back of the hair and smashed my head into a table, and I was out cold, and I fractured the middle in my skull, the bridge of my nose. Even though I wasn't hit there, that's the softest spot, and I had a crack through there, and I actually just got all groggy, and I went to bed, and I woke up with like a headache that was pounding, like my brain was bleeding out, and I got an ambulance, and it was bleeding, and they monitored me and took care of me and gave me blood thinners and stuff for about 5 days in a hospital. And you got to give it up for Britain, because Jim Jefferies isn't my real name. I use my middle name. It's a stage name. My real last name's Nugent, right? Like Ted Nugent.
Any relation?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Anyway, so I got to give it up for Britain. They never checked my ID. I never signed a bit of paperwork. I wasn't a British citizen. They had me in a hospital for free for 5 days and checked on me. And then when it was time for me to leave, I just walked up and left. And they were like, "Good luck."
Well, yeah, socialized medicine. I come from Canada. We do that too.
Yeah, well, but when you think like that's maybe what Bob Saget felt. He hit his head and then went back to sleep. And you just think, oh, I'll just sleep this off.
You're lucky you woke up.
Yeah, you're lucky you woke up.
Did they ever catch that guy?
They did. Yeah, that guy. And the British government gave me, if I remember, like £5,000 as a victim of crime.
And did he go to jail?
That guy pled guilty, yeah. He didn't go to jail. He got a misdemeanor.
It seems like England is a rough place for you.
But no guns, man. You know what I mean? Like I used to do a joke about the British being really tough. Like they're the only nation of people to use the word glass as a verb. You know what I mean? Like to glass someone, right?
I don't know that term.
That means to smash a glass into the side of someone's face in a bar fight. I glass the cunt, they'll say, something like that.
I glass the cunt. Sounds
Someone
like a
came
t-shirt.
up to Mom and tried to do that once, right?
Not in England.
Here.
Here.
That's hard going, getting a glass to the face. But they're a very rowdy bunch, yeah. But I love the British.
But you have no fear, or do you think about that now when you're on stage? Because you do
think
a lot
about
of controversial.
I think about it less and less. As time fades, you worry about those things less and less. But watching, I was triggered by what happened to Chris.
I haven't gotten hit, but and knock on whatever I'm knocking on. But I fear every day. When I stand on stage in front of a bunch, you don't know who's out there.
No.
And I feel that triggers other people's anger. And comedy is supposed to provoke. Not provoke violence, but provoke.
I'll tell you a funny story about. Okay, so I had a routine about gun control that did quite well. It was probably my calling card for many years.
Right.
Do this thing on gun control. Anyway, so I started getting these death threats, but they were very tepid. Just fuck you, go back to your own country. You don't get up on stage. Blah blah blah. A lot of that crap, right?
Right.
Anyway, but we had a credible one that someone was going to shoot up a theater in Texas one time. This is maybe 7 years ago or something like that. And so I rang up the police, like, this guy says he's going to shoot up the theater, and then they're like, oh, well, we get a lot of threats like that. We don't, And I was like, really? You're not going to do anything? And then I investigated a bit more, and they said that I could employ to have in uniform cops standing in every door, but I would have to pay for it myself. They would be off-duty cops that I was paying for. So I employed 12 police officers, and I had 3 on the edge of the stage, and I had 1 at every door. And so the whole room was surrounded with cops, and I just went and did the gig, right? But before I do the show...
I probably wouldn't have gone.
Well, I cancelled once, and then I went back. This was like 6 months after the first cancellation. I said I was sick for the first one because I didn't want to alarm anybody, and then I went back. So I go back the next time, and I'm in my dressing room. In the dressing room next door to me, all these cops were being briefed by their sergeant about what to do. And these are people I paid for. And the sergeant's like this. He goes, we need a cop at each door. We need 4 on the edge of the stage. We need this. We need that. And then one of the cops said, why are we even here? And he goes, well, this particular comic's been getting death threats. And he goes, why has he been getting death threats? He goes, because he does a routine on gun control. And one of the cops went, maybe he should learn to shut his fucking mouth. And I was like, oh, no.
This is what I paid for, yeah.
I don't think this cunt's jumping in front of a bullet for me.
Oh, my God. So you don't do the routine anymore?
Well, no, once I recorded it, I never did it again.
Right.
But that routine probably out of my whole career, that's probably the thing I'm most proud of, really. That was the one that I feel like it's my best bit of stand-up.
Wow. And also the most dangerous
Yeah, well,
bit of stand-up.
I don't know.
Are you touring much here in America?
I am. I'm off to this weekend. I'm doing Detroit and Cleveland, and just what I do is I go every second week on the road, and then I have my son every second week, a week with his mother, a week with me, and so when I'm the weeks with him, I don't go on the road.
Acting. You're going to do more acting?
I would like to, but everyone, when people go, "You're going to do more acting," that's like you're going to sleep with more attractive women. It's not my choice.
Is that what you tell your wife?
Yeah, it's definitely not my choice anymore.
No, but I'm saying I met you on a movie set. That's actually the first time we met.
That's true. Yeah,
you and I did the David Hasselhoff movie.
We did a David Hasselhoff movie. I'd like to do some more acting. I've got a couple of things that might come through, but like with the acting, it's like, especially with the stand-up, it's like whether you've got the time to do it, it doesn't pay as much as stand-up. But I would very much like to do some more acting, whether it be dramatic or comedy or something like that. But who knows?
Yeah, you're really talented. Go ahead.
No, you probably don't love playing in the UK after you got hit.
Oh,
a couple
I love
times.
the
All
UK.
right. Well, I was going to ask, what's easier for you? Because I know there's a different sense of humor depending on where you're traveling. Performing here and doing your comedy here, do you have to change it up when you go to Australia or the UK?
The little words here and there, but I can tell you that sort of the two audiences that are the most similar are Canadians and Australian, are very similar crowds.
Yeah.
Very, very similar crowds. Appreciative, happy to see you, but you know what I mean? Not as whoopy as Americans. Americans whoop and cheer and stuff like that. Americans sometimes, if you lay into a heckler, can get a bit, that's a bit much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Where the Brits are probably they're the best hecklers, and the island I'll include in that group. They're the best hecklers. Like they really work at it. And if you beat them, they'll be super happy. They want to get beaten by you. They want to lay.
It's kind of like they like going to pubs and beating each other up.
Yeah.
And that's a good night. And,
Yeah.
And they remain friends after you've pounded the shit out of a buddy. You know.
Yeah.
So that's that's the kind of psyche. And I work with a lot of people from the UK. I find their humor so much different than
So Americans are more sensitive.
We are,
They are,
and
yeah.
we kind of fancy ourselves. We've become American citizens, but well, you were born in here, but they fancy themselves as very open and wild and. But if you look at the UK and even Australia, there's no moral comeuppance. If you look at the sitcoms and all the sitcoms that ended up being great here, like All in the Family, and that were kind of edgy, were based on British. Sitcoms at the time. You can be a lot edgier, and the audience is a lot edgier in the UK, and maybe in I haven't played Australia, but in Canada.
The UK, but I'll tell you a famous heckling story in the UK. So Kurt Douglas's son, not Michael Douglas, but the other one who did stand-up for a while. I think he's passed away now, but Michael Douglas's brother went to do stand-up at the Comedy Store and in London, and it wasn't going particularly well. And he sort of went, you can all get fucked. He goes, I'm Kurt Douglas's son, right?
Yeah.
And then one audience member stood up and went, I'm Kurt Douglas's son. And another person went, and they did the whole I'm Spartacus thing, the entire crowd.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And you're like, that sums up the Brits for you. Because half the people wouldn't have even known the reference. They would have just gone, what are we doing? All right, I'll go in.
But it is a fun place to work. I haven't worked there in years and years and years, but they're really funny, and they're really. But your accent, it is right. Your accent, and you're not British, but I think even in Australia, seems to allow you to get away with more.
You can get away with more, but there are limitations to it. I get an audition, and I very rarely they ask me to do my natural accent. They don't want to, this accent. See, British people can play Bond villains, romantic comedy. The British people can be all Heath Ledgery or blah, blah, blah. Or they can be like, all right, son, we're going to beat the living fuck out of you. They can be real tough for that. And Australians, we don't. You can't have an Australian Bond villain. You know what I mean? You can't have a bloke spin around in a chair and go, all right, you cunt, fucking hell.
Can you do a good American accent?
I heard a few.
I
His
did.
is,
I
like,
did it in
Southern.
that movie. It wasn't great.
Yeah,
it
I know.
wasn't great, but they asked me to do. I did a small part on SWAT the other day. Right, my
Right.
friend was directing it. I played a computer hacker. He literally called me up the day before. He goes, "You want to be a computer hacker?" And I said, "Sure." You know, it was like 8 lines, and he goes, "You have to be." You have to put an American accent on it.
Why?
I said, why? And he goes, because there's never been an Australian computer hacker. And I went, Julian Visage. like, what a stereotype. There's never been an Australian computer hacker.
Was he American, the director?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so-
He directed some of my sitcoms. That's how I knew
So
him.
how did you go to somebody to figure out how to do it, or you
No,
just
I just
mimicking?
did it in Australian. With the accent, we can do the American accent better than you can do an Australian accent because we grew up watching your television. You didn't grow up watching Australian TV.
No,
We-
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee, man. That was I tell you what, there was a hot moment where Australia was the most popular country in the world. Where, you know, Yahoo Serious, Young Einstein,
Oh,
Crocodile
yeah,
Dundee.
yeah.
Now, I often say when I came to America, but I truthfully came to America the first time when I was 14 years old. I came out to America and was an exchange student for 3 months in a high school in San Diego called Granite Hills High in El Cajon. And I came out and I was a 14-year-old lad who had never, I don't think I'd even kissed a girl. I had no girls were interested in me. I was this nerdy guy from, but Crocodile Dundee that year was the biggest movie in the world.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Oh, God, I cleaned up in an American school at 14. I became a man, I tell you. I couldn't wait to move back here. I thought the accent would still hold some credibility, but now it doesn't.
You were Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah, everything Australia was. I remember when you guys started wearing Ugg boots, and that was because Pamela Anderson was wearing them in between sets. On they'd see her.
That's
in a
why
swimsuit.
you think that's what?
That's what sort of set them off. That was like about 1990 when Pamela Anderson.
Because I started wearing Uggs. I didn't even know Pamela Anderson wore Uggs.
Well,
I was wearing Uggs because
Because of Pamela Anderson.
I was wearing a one-piece red bathing suit.
in Australia, they were the height of white trash to wear Uggs out. They were meant to be slippers you wore at home. You know,
I
thought it
heard
was
they were
for
beach
surfers.
for surfers.
No Australian bloody war. We used to wear. They used to cost about $10 a pair, and we have more sheep. We're burning sheep wool. We have more than we fucking need. They have loads of the shit.
We shear
I
sheep
remember
there.
going to Australia and I was like, the only thing I want are Uggs.
Uggs, yeah.
And I couldn't find them.
Oh no, we have stores for duty free. That other brand, Emu, but they were very cheap. They were sold in Kmart for like $10 a pair. And
That's
you
what
wore
I
them
found.
You wore them at home.
I found like $10. I'm like, these can't be real.
A lot of
No,
Australian
they
shit.
were real. They were real. And over here, they sell for like $300.
Yeah.
A lot of Australian shit have become really high-priced deals here in America.
Yeah.
The other thing was Alex, my son is here. Alex, what was that pet, that flying squirrel we wanted to pay a ton for? What was that called?
A possum?
No, you wanted one of those things, those little
sugar glider?
Sugar gliders.
Yeah.
So that was like, we thought we were getting an exotic pet. And then I read in Australia, isn't that like an infestation?
No, that's a rat. That's
Yeah.
You don't want to have that. That's they're a breed of possum. They're a terrible thing.
But they were
You know-
selling it at a high-end, he took me to a high-end
Pet store in Vegas.
I'll tell you the cutest animal. Did you ever go out to Rottnest Island? Did you go to Perth?
We were in Perth, but we didn't go to Rottnest.
Okay, you got to go to Rottnest Island. The cutest animal on earth lives just on this island, and they're not endangered. There's fucking loads of them.
What is it?
It's called a quokka. If you want to get one up, Quakka,
Alex.
and they are the
looking.
most personable animals. They're part of the
Never heard
kangaroo
of it.
family.
A quacker?
Quokka. There they are.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at it with its arms open.
Happiest animal. Remember we brought
Remember? Yeah, he did.
Oh,
say
he
it.
brought it up. He went, it's the
Yeah.
happiest animal on
Happy as
earth.
that, and it's very good with people. You can get quokka selfies. You can go right up to it. It enjoys humans' company.
How come they're not pets for
And they're
people?
the size of a soccer ball, they are. And they're the fucking most banging animal you've ever met, mate. I tell you.
You know, sugar gliders will chew off their own genitalia if you leave them.
That's what I did after my wife left me.
Yeah.
And then we went and watched we went to the zoo and we watched the koala bears, which are really not nice. They're not nice.
They sleep for 22 hours a day.
They're
So
high.
They're high from the eucalyptus leaves. They sleep for 22 hours a day. So when you say they're not nice, you just woke them up. Like the idea that you caught them in that 2-hour window is very rare. So
you know what? I'm just, and I don't know if you aspire to this. You could be the next Steve Irwin. You are. you know so much about.
I was the first Steve Irwin. I faked me death.
Because you know a lot about animals. My son will give you a fact about any animal without knowing.
Well, I know a lot about Australian animals because I've over the years I've had so many different girlfriends that I've brought back to Australia, and then we've gone to I never went to the zoo as a kid or anything. And my wife,
the best one's in Melbourne, right?
No, Sydney, Taronga Park, it overlooks the harbour and all that. It's beautiful, Taronga Park Sea.
Oh, okay.
But my wife is vegan, and she will not go to anywhere that has animals in captivity. I like zoos. I think that zoos get a bad rap because there's two types of zoos.
Do you have a dog?
I have 2 cats.
Isn't that considered
They're in
animals
captivity.
in captivity?
I know, but they would have been put down anyway. She rationalizes that one, you know. I'll tell you what the great thing about buying a vegan is dating a
buying.
I met her at a thing.
Okay,
I paid good dollar. Anyway, so
how did you and your wife purchase?
So my wife is vegan, and I've had relationships in the past where, you know, you try to buy your girlfriend or a fancy gift, and, you know, shoes, handbags, whatever. A lot of the fancy gifts for women are leather-based.
Right.
You know, leather-based.
Right.
And I was spending a lot of money. The vegan handbags are very reasonably priced. The only person who does an expensive one, and it's only like $800 in comparison to like a Chanel bag or something like that, Stella McCartney.
What's it made out of?
Leather, whatever, fake leather, the same stuff they make Tesla seats out of. You know what I mean?
Right now is Stella McCartney.
Yeah, Stella McCartney.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm thinking of making vegan handbags. There's a market because Stella's got all of it.
That's not from a real shiny cow?
Just exotic shiny
Wow.
cow.
So she's totally vegan.
Totally vegan. So
But you're not.
I'm not. I eat whatever I want.
No, you keep inviting strangers to barbecue.
The only thing I'm giving up for my wife is pork because she's pumped into me that pigs are very smart animals and showed me enough diet. And I'm like, all right, I won't eat pork.
She proved that a pig is smart to you.
They're as smart as a 3-year-old child. They're smarter than a dog, yeah. And I would eat them if they were just grazing naturally, but the farming system, if it was just hunted a wild boar, I wouldn't have a problem, but they're lower on the food chain. Like, is there an animal lower on the food chain than a pig? It's just a ball of meat. You can cut the cunt in half and put it on a fire, and then you've got a ready meal. There's not much butchering to be done even, you know?
Right.
But I don't know they're smart. But what I did do on my bachelor party. Now, I had my bachelor party during COVID, so there was no strippers or anything like that. You know, last night of freedom.
Because of COVID.
Yeah. So last night of freedom, I had myself a rack of ribs just as like a little.
You
bit
ate the.
Yeah, I ate pig as
well,
my.
He's saying
as my
a rack of ribs is just a skinny stripper.
Yeah, but I ate ribs like she can't control me today.
Whoa! Wow.
I really let loose. I did.
Then you had friends there where other people were they all disappointed? All you had was ribs.
We all went out to Joshua Tree, rented a house, and we took a load of mushrooms, and we just sat by a swimming pool and just got high. And these 2 bats came and just swam around on top of the swimming, like flew around on top of the swimming pool, entertained us for hours. Best bachelor party ever.
You're out of your fucking mind.
It was fantastic.
Eating ribs, watching
I feel
rodents
like
in the pool.
That needs to be animated.
And then me and the wife, we got married in Vegas. Because COVID was wrapping up, right? She's British, I'm Australian. And I said to her, we got to get married right away. And I said, what? Because if we wait till COVID's over, I have to fly out your family and my family, and it's going to be a big deal. If we do it now, we can always say we wanted to, but we couldn't, right?
Right.
Oh, wow.
So we hired a private plane and just got 8 friends, and we just, COVID, flew out to Vegas, went to the Little White Chapel, did it. And then we went to a restaurant to have a meal, and my wife bought a very modest wedding dress, just a white dress, you know. And we're sitting there having a meal, and I got high, and I ate some food, and then I had my napkin on my lap, and I went down and I cleaned my hands. I was eating burrata and tomato salad with my hands, and I had all this tomato juice.
Why are you eating salad with your hands?
Because there was that last little gubbins that I couldn't pick up with me spoon. So I
Do you
just
feel like you're on a pirate ship?
yeah. So I picked up the last little bits. We call them gubbins. That's a thing. It's more of a British term. Anyway, so I eat those, and then I pick up my napkin and I clean my hands off like this. wasn't a napkin. It was my wife's wedding dress was over. like I sort of pulled on it a bit, and I went, "Oh no!" Right? And I just sort of sat there for a second, and my mind went like this. I could just lie and just say I didn't do it and just not mention it.
She didn't
didn't
know.
notice.
Yeah, she didn't notice. She's eating her food. I'm just cleaning my hands off the dress. And I thought, I can't start the marriage off in a lie. I've only been married for about an hour and a half. I better be pretty honest here.
Oh, that's hysterical. Thank God you didn't have to sneeze.
She laughed. She thought it was very funny, but there was just a tomato smear down the side of her stage, so we changed.
Did you take pictures?
We did take pictures. She's had the dress since dry cleaned, and it all was all.
Don't you want no memories? I would imagine she would have kept it.
We're not going to forget that. You know, my son,
will she wear the dress
was
again?
sitting on the other side of me, and he was laughing his ass off. He brings it up all the time. He thinks it's amazing.
I don't know that I. So she bought a white dress,
Yeah.
but she wasn't a virgin.
As far as I know, she wasn't. No.
No, but even for you.
No, she wasn't a virgin. But you really think that's a thing?
Isn't that the thing?
Who's getting married and they're a virgin? Like I wouldn't.
No,
I
but
wouldn't marry
isn't
a
that
virgin.
the symbolic? Isn't that the symbol?
Dad,
the
what are you
symbolism?
talking about?
A white dress.
Mom
She
wore
could've
a
bought-
white dress.
I know.
And she was a virgin.
Well, just a tip.
Yeah. But
Oh my God.
I remember,
Okay.
I remember being about 14, 15, and my mother, who only slept with my father, met my father when she was 20 or something like that. I only slept with my father, and she was giving me this whole, Helen, she was saying you shouldn't have sex before marriage. It's very important not to have sex before marriage. I only ever had sex with your father, like this, right? And she was giving me this big speech. I was about 14, 15. I said, and my dad's reading the paper, and I go, "Dad, did you have sex before Mum? Did you have sex with anyone else before Mum?" And he was just trying to oh, fuck. And he goes this, and this is my dad's response. I grew up in a small town, and we didn't have TVs or anything.
I love
That
that.
was it. His answer was basically, what was I meant to do?
It's either TV or fucking. Yes. Oh my God. That's hysterical. That's the beauty of you. When I watch you on stage, and I know you put a lot of work and effort into whatever your material is, but you tell these stories, and even when you're telling a story like you just did now, it's so guttural and relatable and real. I really love what you do. You are a tremendous talent, and I can't thank you enough. I called you up and asked you to be on. And I thought I lost you for a minute because you didn't answer me right away because you asked what was it about, and I went into this dissertation about.
Oh yeah, well, some podcasters things like we talk about true crime or something. I don't know. I didn't know what you.
Oh, if you want to talk about true crime, I'm willing to. But the truth is, I'm just thrilled to have you here. I would love to work with you in any capacity, any time. You're a good guy. You're a funny guy. Is there anything you want to plug? You're on the road, Jim Jefferies.
I'll plug my own podcast. It's called Jim Jefferies. I don't know about that.
Okay. And what do you do on that?
What we'll see. I'm lazy, you see. So I decided to make a podcast where I didn't have to book guests.
Right.
So the idea is we have a specialist come on every episode. I don't know what their specialty is. They say what their specialty is. Then I have to say every bit of information I know on the topic, and then that person corrects me. So we do everything. We do everything
It's
from
bullshit.
We do everything from cheese to World War II, and everything in between. We did an episode on skateboarding last week, and so we have different. So I don't have to book the guests because I'm not to know who they are. So I'm genius. I've passed up
You're
that.
a genius.
And then but we've had sometimes we have do you have a specialty? Like Jay Leno came on and did cars, but
Right.
like do you have a specialty subject? Could you be on the podcast? What's your?
I don't have any.
Yeah.
I'm not special.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have nothing. But don't feel obligated to reciprocate. I'm going to listen. How long have you been doing it?
We're 90 episodes, I think. So
Oh, wow.
That's a while. We started it during COVID, and we've just done it.
You've done a lot of things. You started a podcast.
Started playing golf, got married, had a kid.
Everything during COVID.
Yeah,
COVID's been good to you.
I'll say this about COVID, and I know the first lockdown was quite possibly the happiest time of my life. It was the first time I slowed down. I was always working, had my foot on the accelerator. It was the first time that the world told me to stop. And that's when, she was my girlfriend then, but that's when I decided I wanted to marry her. spending every day with her was just magical. I was so happy. So I thought, I'll keep that rolling.
What are you doing for Mother's Day for her?
Well, look, the baby, it's not my fucking mother, is it? You know?
You should work for Hallmark because you have a way
Yeah,
with
my,
the word.
my mother died 3 years ago. I'm out of that.
Lucky you. Now you're just a motherfucker.
No, what I do is I get both women that I've had children with flowers. If I impregnate you, you get flowers. It's just how it is.
Wow. I'm sure there's a line out the door right now for people who are just listening. All I got to fuck them for flowers. All right. Well, you are the best, buddy. Thank you so much
Thanks
for
for having
dropping
me.
by. And that was another episode. We want people to comment. We want people to buy merch. What do we want?
Subscribe,
Subscribe,
review, rate and review.
rate and review, and you can send money. I mean, I'm not going to stop you if you want to. And that's Kyle.
Just awkwardly. Oh.